Hello, third graders. We are jumping into geometry today. We are going to have a lot of targets, so make sure that you're staying focused. If at any time you need to go back and rewatch a part of the video, please do that. That's part of being responsible for your learning. Let's start with our first target. It says, I can measure and draw various lengths of line segments with a ruler. Our second one says, I can measure to the nearest centimeter of each side to find the perimeter. Okay, our first goal is to get that first one done, and if we can extend our learning to get to the perimeter today, that would be wonderful. If not, it'll come later, so no worries. We will know we are successful when we can use a ruler to draw and measure line segments to the nearest inch and centimeter and add up all the side lengths, because that is how we find the perimeter. Let's keep going.
So the first thing that we need to talk about is, how do we use a ruler? Okay, when we look at drawing lines, we want to make sure we're using the ruler to draw straight lines. That's what it's helpful for. So I want you to look at all of the hands and the rulers and the pencils in these three pictures and notice, how are the people in these pictures holding the ruler? Okay. I noticed that they have one hand, I would assume is the hand that they do not write with. So I write with my right hand, so I would hold the ruler down with my left hand. And they hold it down with a nice, wide, firm push. And then in the other hand, they have their pencil, and I noticed that they have the tip of the pencil right on the edge of the ruler. Okay, so make sure that you're really thinking about that today when we are using the ruler. Push down nice and hard with the hand you're holding the ruler with, and then having the edge of your pencil right up next to the edge of the ruler. What measurements do you see on a ruler? Okay, you can see different measurements on rulers. Usually they have two different measurements. If you flip the ruler over, you might have one, and on the other side it might be something different. So take a look at your ruler and see which measurements do you have. Typically we'll find centimeters on one side, and we will see inches on the other side of our ruler. Remember that when we are measuring a specific line segment, we want to make sure that we start on the 0 mark of the ruler. So the 0 is not the end of the ruler. If you look at the end of the ruler, over here, that is not the 0 mark. There's actually space before the 0 mark. So you need to start the tip of your pencil at that 0 mark, and then you're going to draw across to the length that they ask you to.
Third graders, also notice that it has half measurements as well, a half centimeter and a half inch. If the directions say look for whole inches or nearest inch or nearest centimeter, you would look at the whole numbers, but sometimes you might be able to write 8.5 instead of 8 or 9 if it's just in the middle of both. Okay? If it is directly in the middle and it asks you for a whole, always round up. 5 always goes up to 10, so we round up. So as we work today, third graders, practice makes perfect. If you are frustrated as we're working, or if you are not confident in your use of a ruler, that is why we are practicing.
Ruler expectations. It is important that when we use the tools in the classroom, we are being responsible with them and that everybody is safe. So when we are using rulers in the classroom, the expectations are that you are being safe with them, you are being respectful with them, and you are being responsible. If you are using the ruler for the reason that it is being used for, you should not have any problem following the expectations.
Today you may be working on this sheet. We're just going to read over it. If not, thank you for being flexible. Okay, third graders, as you look, it says measure each line segment to the nearest centimeter. That is some vocabulary we're going to come back to. But to the nearest centimeter means whole centimeter. So as you go, that is important for you to remember. It says for number 2, how is this line segment different from the one in number 1? Well, I'm noticing some vocabulary on the right over here. It says horizontal means straight across, left or right. I'm making a connection in my head to horizons. When the sun rises, that is from left to right. I can see the picture in my mind of the sun rising across a straight line. Vertical goes straight up and down. Another connection for this one would be asking somebody, what's your vertical? How high can you jump? That's something a basketball player might say. Okay, the directions say to the nearest centimeter, so that means the nearest whole centimeter. On this one, remember that vocab, horizontal, vertical. Think of those connections, a horizon, or what is your vertical? Start at the 0 centimeter mark, draw with your pencil.
Missy Anderson, I'm also noticing on that page that for 7, where it says to draw a horizontal line, there's less space between that problem and the next problem. So I don't think I'm going to be able to fit a 7 centimeter long line up and down there. And I notice on 8 that they give us more space. So if I'm having trouble remembering horizontal and vertical, what they mean, I might look at the space that they're allowing me to use to figure out which way my line is going to go, up and down or side to side.
That makes sense to me. As we said before, 3rd graders, there are going to be a couple of targets today, so here is another one. It says, I can identify types of lines and line segments and opposite and adjacent sides of quadrilaterals. It also says, I can explain the meaning of a line, line segment, parallel, and perpendicular with examples. Specifically today, 3rd graders, we're going to focus on line and line segment and maybe even array if you think you can handle it. Make sure that you are focusing on how you can identify and find examples of them. I'm wondering if we can do that with any real-world connections. Let's see. So, what do you guys notice that's different about the two of these? We're going to give you some time to think.
Okay, so what we noticed is that our line A is a line. I can tell that it's a line because it has an arrow on each end. The arrows tell me that this line goes on forever in both of those directions. So this is an example of a line. When I look at B, I notice that they have 2 end points, 2 dots at the end. Okay, that tells me that that line ends there. That is called a line segment. So when you see 2 arrows, that means that the line goes on forever in those directions. When you see the 2 dots, that means that it's an end point and the line ends there, so it's called a line segment.
All right, the last thing that we're going to do today is just review that vocabulary that you just heard. So, a line is a straight path that goes on forever in both directions. So does that mean that if it doesn't have arrows, it's not a line? Yeah, 3rd graders, it has to have arrows. We put arrows on the end to show that it goes on and on. There are some examples that you can see. A line segment is a part of a line. It has 2 ends, which are called endpoints. Here are some line segments. Maybe 3rd graders, it's easier for you to think of a line segment being a part of a line if you think about it like this. That is our line. This would be a line segment. So what you see in green is what we're talking about when we say a part of a line. It might be the middle part, maybe it's an end part, but it is a part of the line, not the whole thing. Okay, we had said that we might add a little bonus and talk about what an array is. 3rd graders, array is when you have an end point on one end and then the rest of the line continues in one direction. The part that continues in one direction might go on forever, but it has a beginning place where it starts. Depending on how it's turned, you might think of it as an end point, okay? So, 3rd graders, please rewind if you need to go back and take a look at what you might need to look at. Otherwise, accept the challenge that you are given today and do it with growth mindset and a good attitude. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.